If you're watching this video, you've clicked on this and you're about to enjoy an introduction to a DPS trooper. The goal here is for us to learn together, have a conversation with a retired trooper. I'm going to a doctor. I understand that that doctor has gone through this kind of education, has gotten this kind of degree, a doctorate. They're opened up a practice. Reaching out to them to be diagnosed so they can look at my symptoms and give me their expertise on what I need to do to help feel better. This situation with us being drivers out on the road is a little different. Obviously, we're not setting up an appointment or whatnot, but I think if we have this preconceived image of what a trooper has gone through and what they deal with on a daily basis, when we do get pulled over for that random roadside inspection, we can have a better interaction with them. So to go ahead and get started on that, let me pass it over to Kirby Lambert. He is our Mission Petroleum Carriers North Region Safety Manager. And Kirby, welcome, bud.
Hello. Good to be here.
Glad to have you on here. If we could just start out, if you just give us a little bit of your background, history, and career, please, sir.
Okay. Well, I just want to say that troopers come from all types of people, especially here in Texas. We're a large, diverse set of people that live in this state, and we have people that are troopers that come from all over the nation. But I'll tell you where I came from. I grew up on a farm and ranch in this little bitty farm and ranch community outside of Childress, Texas, and I never had any aspirations of being a law enforcement. I always grew up respecting law enforcement, and my dad was good friends with all the law enforcement in our area, but I just never thought about a career in that deal. So I was going to college, and I went to college to be an ag teacher. I was in agriculture education, and it just so happened that I befriended these two Lubbock County deputies when I was going to college at Texas Tech, and they befriended me and asked me what I was going to do when I got out of college. And I said, well, I went to college to be an ag teacher, but I really don't want to teach in that sense. I did, and it worked out. I got on with them, and I worked for the Lubbock County Sheriff's Office for 5 years. Started out in the jail. And that was the best place for me to start because I learned how to deal with people, a whole variety of people. We had people in there for capital murder. We had serial rapists, and we had people that just didn't pay their traffic tickets and everything in between. I wanted to go with a larger agency, something that had good benefits, a good pension, and stuff like that. And I always had a lot of respect for the Texas Highway Patrol. And when I was a deputy, I used to ride with two different troopers that were stationed there in Lubbock. I'd go out and ride with them on my days off. So that's how it kind of got started for me. And if you get accepted, you got a conditional job offer. You got to go through psychological evaluations. You got to take a psychological test. You got to have an interview with a psychiatrist. You have to go through a physical. You have to do PT testing. You have to take a written test over basic mathematics, English, comprehensive writing, stuff like that. And so I got through all that and got offered a conditional job offer. And then you have to go to Austin, Texas, to the DPS Academy for 6 months. Now, when you go to the academy, it's like military boot camp because you're living in the barracks. You're living in barracks. You have a wall locker, and you are living on their turf. And sometimes they'd wake us up in the middle of the night to fight because when I went through, recruits fought each other, full contact. And so they did all kinds of stuff to us, and we PT'd at least twice a day, and then we had classes all the way up till 9 o'clock at night. During this training, this 6 months, we learned numerous different things, numerous different things. But I'll go over that here in a little bit. But the answer, that's where I came from, and that is my history. We have people that come from straight from the military. Some people, did 4 or 5 years in the military. We had people that had 20 years in the military that came in.
So
We had
that's interesting. So whenever I think the word used was commissioned, right? Like, so is that kind of equivalent to the, and I'm sorry, I don't come from a military or law enforcement background, but it just, for the folks that are listening here, I think that's a good point for them to understand is, so whenever you sign on to this, it's kind of like signing on to a branch of the military. Is that correct?
It is to a certain extent, except you are free to quit anytime you want to. And
Okay.
that's the difference between our us and the military. When you was going through that academy, it was your free will to leave at any time. And in matter of fact, that they tried to run people off. They uh, uh, they intentionally jacked with us, for lack of better terms, by lack of a better word. They messed with us uh tremendously, just to see who really wanted to be there. The military, you can't leave because they actually own you, and you're property of the United States government. There, they didn't. If you didn't want to be there, they didn't want you, and they tell you to pack your crap and get out of there.
Yeah.
And so that was the difference. It was your own will to stay there. That's what kept you there. Is I want this job. I want to do this. They're not going to run me off. And my approach to it, my attitude was that they're going to have to carry me out in the body bag because I'm not quitting.
And what year is it that you went in?
I went. We started my academy December 6th of 1994.
Good deal. And you just recently retired, didn't you?
I retired June the 30th of this year of 2023.
That's
Well,
awesome.
not this year, but last year. Yeah.
Yeah, last year. And we appreciate all your service, and we're lucky to have a person like you with all your uh information and experiences that you've gone throughout your career. And we appreciate you really being on here with us and sharing this info with the folks that are watching. Let's see, what are some of the teachings that troopers have ingrained in them? I guess a lot of these teachings will happen at the recruiting school to be able to perform their job duties at a high level.
Well, one thing, we have people that come in that they teach us the ways that DPS wants us to perform our duties, and they would show us videos of good officers and bad officers, the right way and the wrong way of doing things, and we would have we'd have discussions about that, and then after we were taught the proper ways and went over those procedures, most of the time in our training, we were introduced to it by either through by actually doing it through simulations. We'd go out and we would have people as role players play violators, and we would get in actual black and white cars, and they would be in a unmarked vehicle, and we would pull them over in like we had an old airstrip by Bastrop we would use in or huge parking lots that were not being used, and that's where we did this. We practiced these traffic stops, and we did it numerous times, and then we were critiqued after each time we made that traffic stop on the good things we did, the bad things we did, and or the things we just needed to be improve on. And one thing that was ingrained into us, and that sets, I think, troopers set apart from your regular deputies and PD officers, we have a 7-step violator contact. And it is ingrained in us to follow that 7-step violator contact. And most of the time, if you follow that, it prevents a situation escalating, and it helps de-escalate the situation. You take care of your business, you get your job done, and then you get out of there. Unless you see criminal activity or something suspicious that causes you to spend more time with that person. But if this for your typical traffic stop, you go up there and you introduce yourself, who you are and why you pulled them over. You ask for their identification, and get the driver's license, insurance, things of that nature. Uh, you've told them what you pulled them over for, so then you're gonna tell them what action you're gonna take, or whether they're gonna receive a citation or a warning. Then you go back and you issue the warning or citation. You run your driver's license check, registration check, and then you come back and you present that to them. You explain it to them. You explain how they need to take care of it. If it's a warning, they just need to comply. And from then on, if it's a citation, we explain who the judge is, what their contact information is, that they need to contact them by a certain date. And then I would always ask, is there any questions or any concerns? And I'd give them a chance. Most people just want to be able to tell their side of the story. And so I'd give them a chance to tell their side of the story. Now, if they started being disrespectful or irate about things, I would just cut it off. I said, "Well, I'm not here to argue with you. This it is what it is. And if you want to discuss it further, we'll just have to go to court." And then I'd say, "Have a safe day," and leave. But one of the things that I think that helps set the mood right is I approach them with decency, with respect, and 90-something% of the time I got it back. And if you're willing to give respect, most people will give it back to you. And one of the things after I told them who I was, and after I stopped them, why I stopped them, I would ask them, "Is there any reason for what you were doing today, or is there emergency?" Because life happens, things happen in life that we cannot predict, we cannot forecast, and we're maybe in the middle of a life storm, and they're trying to figure it out and they're trying to deal with it. And so it gives them opportunity to speak and explain themselves. And most of the time, even if people get a ticket, they don't like it. But if they had a chance to explain themselves, a lot of times that would make them feel better about the situation.
Here's that next question. What kind of required training do all troopers have to go through and pass, right?
Oh, yes, they have to go through, of course, we learn the penal code, Texas Penal Code, the criminal code of procedures. Uh, we learn the transportation code. That's where all the traffic laws come from. And each of these sections that we are trained in, we have to pass a written test. And then you get to the part where it's more hands-on, like firearms training. You got taught marksmanship with a pistol, with a rifle, and with a shotgun, and then not just marksmanship, just to hit a paper target, but then you had the tactical side. You had to be able to operate a motor vehicle, not normally, but also at high rates of speed, and using your vehicle sometimes, your patrol vehicle, as a tool.
Yep. Yep. Yes, sir. Well, what if you could kind of group, throughout your career, all the different types of folks that you worked with in your law enforcement division, if you could all group them together and say what kind of people they are, in general, how would you explain the group of people that you've worked with? Is it family folks? Are they, what's their main motivation, main interests? How would you describe these folks?
Most of them as a whole, the common denominator is that most of them feel like they want to make some kind of difference. A lot of them, especially, you're in your 20s, you're going to do this law enforcement job, you think there's the cool factor. Oh, I get to wear a gun in the badge, I get to have a cool car, I get to drive fast, and blah, 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 and all that stuff. That wears off real quick. And those people that get in it for those reasons, they last maybe 2 years and then they're gone. They're in they're in a different career. They don't last long. My total law enforcement time was almost 34 years. Yeah. I I got over the cool factor and saw the real reasons why I got into it. And that's to help people. And so most of the people that I've worked with in my career have that same mentality. They're doing it because they want people to be safe and because their families travel down these same roads as everybody else. And they don't want their families to be hurt or injured or killed uh, because of somebody that is being unsafe, not being responsible. And most of them, they, they're family people. Um, they have spouses, they have kids. They're members of the school board. They like to work out. They like sporting events because we kind of have a competitive nature in us. So we like sporting events. We like to go play golf. We like to ride motorcycles, like UTVs. We got all different kinds of hobbies and backgrounds. And the ones that are successful in the law enforcement career, they find a healthy way to deal with the stress. And that's usually through some of the stuff I just mentioned. Uh, and those people learn how to survive and how to deal with that in a positive manner, and they have a successful career. And they also learn that people are people, and there's going to be good people that make bad decisions. And that doesn't mean they're a bad person. That just means they just made a bad decision. And then you got some people that are just bad,
Yeah.
that are just evil. And you learn the difference between those two, and you don't treat them the same. You even though you pull over somebody one day and little Johnny is acting a fool, but little Johnny's always been good before, never got in trouble. And you take time to find out why they did what they did, and you get some understanding behind it, and then it kind of opens your eyes to sometimes why people do the things that they do. There's some psychology behind it.
Yeah.
And but most of the people, men and women that I've worked with, they truly care about people, uh, and they just want the world to be a better place, if you will, and then try to do their little part to make it that way. Because if they can go have a day where there's no major crashes, no fatality crashes, no mishaps, everybody gets home, uh, no major incidents, and everybody's safe, well, then that's a successful day.
Yeah.
You've had a good day, and we'll never know what kind of effect we've had on people. People we've never met, people that just see us and we never spoke to them. We may stop them from doing what they were doing. We made them stop and think for just a moment, saying, I don't need to be doing that. That officer's right there. Well, that just changed that person's course for that day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And makes a difference that way. So most of the people, that men and women that I work with, are geared that way. Because the ones that are not, the ones that are in it for different reasons, or I'm just doing this job to get a paycheck, or I'm just doing it because, oh man, I look cool and I'm a badass because I got a gun and a badge. Those people are not going to last long because they're in it for the wrong reason.
Yeah. And I didn't expect to kind of go down this route, but I'm just thinking here too, and with our drivers and hauling hazmat and things like that, I'm sure there's a common denominator here with them and going out on the road and not knowing what they're going to expect and trying to get home every night to their loved ones and families. But same thing with you guys too, you know, the stress that I can't imagine puts on a family, with the kind of involvement y'all get in with the public and going out every day. But there could be a, you know, a common denominator there with both the drivers
Yeah.
and you guys, you know, and y'all want the same thing, is to go out there and do the job that y'all are presented with, and the tasks that y'all have to do, and to get home at night and to your families and loved ones. So
That's exactly right. Because we're, whether you be, you know, I got a lot of friends that were a law enforcement and then they started driving the truck, or they drove a truck before they got into law enforcement. So I've know people from both sides of the fence, and but we're both road warriors, if you will, the truck drivers and us DPS troopers, because that's where we make our living, is on the road. And the only way that a truck driver successfully makes a good living on the road is if they drive from point A to point B safely to deliver their product. And if they don't, if they can't do that safely, well then, first of all, they may get hurt, they may get killed, or they may get fired, and they don't get a paycheck. So for them to be successful at what they do, they have to be custodians of the highway. They have to take care of what's around them, what's in front of them, what's behind them, just like we do. When we're out there patrolling the roads, we have to be aware of what's around us and what's going on. And as we're driving, because sometimes we're driving at a high rate of speed. Truck drivers are driving a very large vehicle with a lot of weight. We were driving a smaller vehicle, but sometimes at a high rate of speed. And so that has to be done in due care. And you have both the truck driver and the trooper has to have the same mentality that I'm going to do whatever it takes to be safe so I can make it home to my family that night. That's absolutely correct. I can't hear you, Josh.
yeah, as I was saying before, we're on a low budget here, folks. As you can see me farting around with the background back there, but yeah, you know, that's a good common thread that our drivers who are watching this need to understand when they do get pulled over for a roadside inspection, is you're interacting with a person first and foremost.
Right.
The troopers second, you know. The driver's a person, trooper's a person, and it's a person doing their jobs. And
That's it.
the main common denominator and common thread that our drivers and troopers have is, man, we just want to do our jobs, do it safely, and get home to our loved ones each night. So,
Yep. That's right. That's
well,
the difference. That's the difference between being a regular highway patrol and stopping the speeder or stopping the drunk, because you stopping somebody that absolutely has done something wrong. And so you deal with that accordingly. But when I stop a truck driver when I was a trooper to do a safety inspection, they may have done nothing wrong. I'm just doing a safety inspection. And so I would tell them, I said, hey, you and I are here for the same reason. We're both trying to make a living, and we're both doing our jobs.
yep,
And when I talked to them like that, they would they would they would be at ease, you know. They would say, they'd calm down. And I said, I'm just here to do my thing. And I said, nothing personal. I just nothing, you know, the old nothing personal, this business thing.
yes,
and, and so and I just talked to them like I'm talking to you right now. I
yep,
talked to him like, "Hey, did you see the game last night? What did you think about that?" I bring up those conversations during that contact to put them at ease, to let them know that this is not a personal vendetta against truck drivers or against anybody. I'm just doing my thing.
yes, sir, yes, sir. Man, Kirby, I appreciate you being on here today. I know we got some other installments we're looking forward to doing, and so you guys that are watching this, be on the lookout for Mission Petroleum's next installments with Kirby here. We're looking at, you know, what do troopers look for as one of them. Kirby's gonna have a special guest on, and he's gonna do an interview with a former associate. And then we're gonna look at even roadside inspections and walkarounds to present to our drivers and let them learn a little bit more of what you guys are looking for from y'all's viewpoint. And then yeah, so looking forward to these videos and conversations that we're having and being able to present these to our drivers here at Mission. So we appreciate you, Kirby, and everything you do for the folks out there.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the support.
All right, man. Well, we'll see you all soon. Thanks again.
All right. Take care.
I'm gonna, so now that I can edit that part out, it was
Yeah, boy.
so now that I can edit that part out, it was funny because I kept my dang mouse controller would come off of my computer screen and go to my laptop screen, and I couldn't get it back over to my main computer screen, so I'd have to do this and like turn my video off, and then it would flip it over there. So yeah, that was I was trying not to screw anything up while we were talking to you. Yeah, good deal, man. Good job, dude.
Well, what do you think? Yeah.
No, that's awesome. I think let me go in here and I'm gonna unshare. And let me see if I
Yeah, boy.